Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Thank you again for joining me. If you're new here, welcome. If you're also new here, please subscribe to my channel and hit the like button. Last time we had a dialogue about narcissistic abuse when it came to the devaluation, and that's when your narcissist, he or she will call you names, they will belittle you, they do multiple different tactics in order to let you know that you're not worthy. They give you, they make you feel like you're not valued. Today's topic, we're going to focus on the discard, how narcissists, they discard you like you're trash. Part of the reason why narcissists do that is they, normally, in most cases, narcissists, they have to always feel like they're in control, and they always have a supply around, or they have a new source of a supply where you are no longer needed or valued. So they will tend to make you feel like crap, and the more that they're able to disassociate themselves with you in the rudest and the most harshest way possible, makes them feel stronger. And that may seem kind of extremely wrong. Why can that person just kind of have a normal conversation and just leave it at that, where you guys kind of separate amicably or discontinue communications normally? That's not how most narcissists do it. It has to be some type of grand show. And I know that you exiting their life could actually be very abrupt too, in order for you to get away from them. But majority of the time, when a narcissist discards you, they want you to know absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, that you meant nothing to them. That your services of being there for them is no longer needed. So they will discard you in the most horrific way possible. A lot of times, the part of the discard is during the latter part of the, when you're in that phase. It could be, completely ignoring you. It could be, if you guys live together, they could be coming home at all hours of the night or not at all. Making sure that you understand that you don't mean anything to them at all, and that you don't hold any value for, you hold no value for them, basically dismissing you. I have I've talked to a few people that have been in relationships with narcissists, myself included. Part of the discard is, part of the discard experience that some of these people have had is, as much as the other person will begin to give all their attention to this new source. And then there could be something as callous as to let you know point blank that if X, Y, and Z came up, that they would take they would take and defend this other individual who this is somebody they could have just met, just to make sure that they hurt you. You would think that they would have your back, but that's not the case. And they want absolutely for you to understand and know that, that they don't have your back. And not only do they not have your back, but they would do everything within their power to work against, the betterment of who you are. That's just to tear you down. And if you allow them to tear you down in such a way, they win. The part of the part of the emotional game that that a person who is a narcissist, they get off on. They get off on being able to be an emotional distress to you. You don't even realize that, that they find pleasure in emotionally distressing you or causing you a sense of unbalance. I remember there were a couple of people in my lifetime where I was in a relationship with them. I I was very open and candid about how I felt about them. And I didn't realize, because I was quite young, very inexperienced in how men play emotional games. And by letting that person know that I valued them, they meant a lot to me, and all of that, and that they hurt me, all I was doing was validating that whatever it is, however they were screwing me or screwing in the nail or the coffin, was working. They really didn't care that they were out there dating other people. It was hurting me. They didn't care. It made them feel powerful. One of the things is it wasn't even about me. It was about how powerful they felt in their life and in their world. I was just an object. I was just something to be used or abused. And it took a long time. It took a long time for me to kind of process that I was nothing more than just an object, and that my feelings really didn't matter. And only time my feelings mattered is when I happened to make that person feel somewhat guilty, because that's really what it was, guilty that they have stressed me to that level. And if you ask me, they were more perturbed that I even was able to penetrate that information to them enough for them to even be bothered. Even that was a bother. But one of the things that I feel is very important is when you unpackage this for yourself. When you come into a lot of people who are young, unfortunately, it's not something that your mother or your father kind of teach you, especially if your mom and dad are the kind of parents that really want to raise you right, set you on the right paths. They're not always going to tell you about these landmines that you're going to encounter when you're dating. So these particular landmines are, unless you have run across friends or you run across a video like, what what I have here, it's very difficult to navigate those waters and trust your own wisdom, because when you're young, wisdom is something that is in the process of being captured or coming into. And some wisdom you just don't have. It takes the wisdom of age. This is just that type of experience. Dating somebody or being in a marriage or in a permanent relationship with someone who's a narcissist can be one of the most crippling experiences one can have in their entire life. Because if you don't heal from it and you don't recognize what it is, you can actually end up going from being victimized throughout your life by this type of personality, and thinking that you're just the person that's just completely unlucky in love, and always the kind of individual that people will tend to use. People look for that. Even some of the people who are nice and stuff like that and wouldn't try to take advantage of you, you would think. But, it's something about a sucker. No matter what person you are, that person would have to be a strong-willed person not to take advantage of a damaged individual here and there just for their own, for their own benefit. But when a person experiences a discard, being discarded by a narcissist, it's a very crippling thing. And most of the time, you may not know that you have been in an encounter with a narcissist, and how it is one of the most extreme abusive relationships that one can be in, because many of the narcissists, like, they are physically abusive too, but definitely verbally abusive. They're keen manipulators, highly manipulative individuals. Part of what makes them very successful at being strong manipulators is because they lack a lot of empathy. Well, one of the things that I realized that for the few people that I had engaged that happened to be narcissists, or they had very strong attributes like that, was that I had to realize that I was never in love with them. I was in love with the idea of who they were and the idea of what I thought they were in my head. And so when I look back on my life, and I look back at the number of people, the few people I thought I had loved, I realized that I never loved them at all. And I know that there was one person that was a narcissistic person in my life. I knew them from college. They were very inspiring to me, and I had longed to be in a relationship with this individual many, many years. Part of me I think he felt like, part of me was obsessed with him, or he was obsessed with the idea of being able to run me. But what I realized with me was that I bought into focusing on that one individual, building my life, and trying to overcome any mistake that this individual was blaming me for. But I think for me, I could never get past, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? And that is what I obsessed over more, because I was discarded so many times, and then the person came back and re-giving me attention. And what I didn't realize was that person was hoovering me. So while they were off with their new supply, I was a constant. I was always available, made myself available to that narcissist. And it would be like I had missed a beat. And it's like, thank God they're trying to be back with me and I could try to fix this or whatnot. And it was not the case, because I wasn't the one for that person, but I was great supply, because I was always very empathetic. I was definitely that individual who was always constantly trying to meet the needs of my partner. But once he found a great resource, he would just discard me again like I was trash. Now that, but he would periodically, reach out to me. Hey, good morning. Hey, beautiful. Hey, this. Hey, that. Just little snippets, just enough to kind of keep me going and hope. What I realize now is that it doesn't take but a second for somebody to send some nice text over to you. They're not really giving you their time or their day, or they're not really investing in you. And, you know, it took me being in a full-out relationship with somebody who was a narcissist, who I actually was walking day by day in a relationship with, that and was exploiting me, that I was able to leave that relationship and begin to dissect what happened to me in the past with that relationship and all my relationships, to make sure that that never happened again. And that is when I started asking myself, what's going on? What's happening to me? Why is it that I am why am I feeling always emotionally, drained with the people that I deal with? What I did realize that I was with a narcissist. And this is a very dangerous spirit to be with, because the narcissists, they wreak havoc on your very soul, your mind. And by the time you begin to start recovering, it's a long process. And then I had to get past not feeling like a fool, and then coming to terms with that. And one of the things I did, I made sure that I came to terms with, was I was not in love with them, because who they are is not somebody I could see myself loving, and it's not somebody I would want to love. And in growing and understanding what I had dealt with, I began to learn about who I was and how I showed up in the world. And when I began to examine how I showed up in the world, and not only how I showed up in the world, but how all of these things, how me not understanding the type of the spirit that I was dealing with, and me being an empath, a highly feeling person, played a role in that. And I went through moments where it was a very devastating experience to realize that that person wasn't in love with you, and they never were in love with you. You were just supply to them, and they only wanted you for X, Y, and Z, intimacy, finances, or to waste my time, basically. So once I was able to make a strong assessment of what I had been through, and come to terms with the fact that I was never in love with these people, when was I in love in my lifetime? Well, I realized that I've only been in love 2 times in my life. Crazy, huh? Crazy. A couple of times in my lifetime. And that's real love. And one of those just happened to be now. I'm very grateful that I'm in a strong, healthy, loving relationship where this person isn't a narcissist. This person is completely normal, and they hold many of the values that I have in my life, and I want to say I have a lot of the values that they like to as well. There's mutual respect there. And there's honor. He, honors the woman that I am, as do I honor the man that he is. And I cherish him, just like I feel cherished. Though that would not have been possible had I not done the work It is very important that when you are in an experience with a narcissist, somebody who's self-centered, who only thinks about themselves, who will down you in order to make themselves better, who will hurt you both physically, emotionally, and mentally. That's not love. That's control. So if you notice that the person that you're in a relationship with doesn't seem to care about you, they tend to treat you like an object, like trash. It's more transactional, their relationship with you. And then they discard you like trash. But then they come back, and when things don't work out for them, don't be somebody's doormat. Don't let somebody treat you like a doormat. And people will treat you the way you allow them to treat you. So try to first heal yourself. It's not the easiest thing to do. It's something that becomes a work in progress. One of the things, my goal here on this channel is to share content to help you heal mind, body, and soul. And hopefully with understanding and knowledge about what you're dealing with, you're able to begin to start that healing journey. And I'm very excited to be a part of that. Well, that concludes my message for today. Thank you, guys. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for joining my channel. And if you're not already subscribed, hit the button below. And I look forward to sharing my thoughts and my wisdom as time goes on. Bye.